Learn the latest Champions League news as we find out our next opponents in this year's round of 16. To move on, we have some massive updates surrounding Brazilian wonder kid Endrick, and to end things, let's discuss some interesting news surrounding Omari Hutchinson and a possible debut versus Man City. Tons of things to break down and discuss today, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It has been a while since I've released a news video, so if you like today's video, you guys know how to show your appreciation by hitting that like button and getting involved in the comment section too. To get straight to the first story, so let's kick things off by discussing our opponents in this year's round of 16. And for the very first time in Chelsea club history, we play Borussia Dortmund in European competition for the very first time. Now the first leg will commence on the 14th of February, so on Valentine's Day next year in Dortmund Stadium, and the second leg will take place on the 7th of March at Stamford Bridge. Of course, we know that away goals don't really matter anymore, but I do feel like if we're going to play that first leg away from home, that's going to force Dortmund to have to try and win that tie at home. Normally when the games are more open, we tend to excel a bit more, so potentially playing away from home in the first leg could work in our favour in the long run. For me, I am very happy that we secured Dortmund because I was fearing that we could potentially get Paris Saint-Germain. I kind of feel like maybe potentially encountering them as the tournament goes on would be much better. Instead, they're now playing versus Bayern Munich. So, you know, when you look at the draws that came out today, I'm not saying that we're the favourites, but if we can beat Dortmund, if we were to secure like a good opponent potentially in the quarterfinals too, who knows what could potentially happen. I'm looking at some of these encounters, I'm looking at some of these draws. A lot of big names will be leaving in the knockout rounds, so as you're progressing into the deeper stages of the tournament, listen, I've seen crazy things happen. Back during that 2021 season, everyone wrote us off winning that Champions League, but in the end, we were able to persevere and come through, and we definitely deserve to win that because we were the most dominant team in the Champions League in that year. So hopefully if we have some good fortune, who knows what can happen. But regardless though, I feel like these games are going to be very entertaining versus Borussia Dortmund. It's going to provide an amazing opportunity to see players like Jude Bellingham, a player that we know that Todd Boehly and co are very fascinated by, and a player that they're desperate to try and sign as well too. We understand already that Boehly and his team have held talks with Bellingham and his camp already, so let's see what potentially happens there. Of course, playing Dortmund provides an opportunity for players like Aubameyang and Pulisic to return back to their former clubs, so I'd imagine that they're going to be very excited to return back to their former club. For me though, I'm also very interested to see Moukoko live in action as well too. I've been following this guy quite a bit this season. I've been watching his highlights as well. I saw the goals he scored versus Bochum. At 17 years old, to already have 10 goals and assists at such a young age. I mean, this guy is another one on that conveyor belt of talent that is regularly coming out from Borussia Dortmund. So I do feel like if we apply ourselves, have great application, and hopefully by the time we play them in February, I'd like to think that we found some sustainability in terms of the system we're playing with, and hopefully an upturn in performance as well too. So there you guys have it. They're our next opponents. How do you feel about Borussia Dortmund in the round of 16? Share your thoughts and opinions. And now let's move on to another story today. So right now, let's discuss Omari Hutchinson. After making his appearance on the bench in that 4-1 loss to Brighton, it seems Hutchinson's exploits are finally starting to put him in contention for a first team spot very soon. Now, as reported by The Athletic today, they report that the club have told Hutchinson not to report for duties for the Jamaican national team. That's because the Jamaican national team have a friendly on the same day we play Man City in the Carabao Cup this Wednesday. So if the club are telling Hutchinson not to take part in that friendly, that tells you that he's in contention to either make his debut or possibly get minutes in that game. You'd imagine that both teams are going to rotate their teams a bit, of course, to maintain that freshness, especially before the World Cup starts. So this could be an amazing opportunity for Hutchinson to potentially show what he's already been showing for the PL2 team this season. Now this season for the PL2 team, as well as the EFL Trophy appearances too, he's got 6 goals and he's got 6 assists. Already this season he is showing that individual ability, and some reports have suggested that, you know, he is like the closest player to Eden Hazard that we've had here for a long time. And I guess maybe it's not that hard to get comparisons considering that we haven't really signed any type of like attacking winger in a very long time. But regardless though, you're seeing that Hutchinson has the ambition as well as that maturity to make the next step up. I mean, I've watched this guy play on YouTube when games are being live streamed, and for me, he's the type of player that could provide something to the first team if he's given minutes. Now, it's being reported that Azpilicueta has put his arm around the player. You know, he has been playing in training sessions for the first team as well too. Reports that he's not making guys for fun, and Azpilicueta is there to give him guidance and mentorship. And for me, that is why Azpi remains at this club, for his leadership on and off the field, which is equally important. But for me, I feel like Hutchinson is showing that ability that is separating him from his peers. You know, he's a guy that is very effective in long distances and short distances when he's carrying the ball. He's very confident in taking his man on and creating spaces. Already in the PL2 league, he's one of those guys where he is being targeted tactic in the sense that teams will focus their defensive shapes on closing him down and reducing his effectiveness, of course, to get results for themselves. And normally when you're seeing like 3 players on any player at all, that's a great indication that this talent in particular is one to watch out for and is very special. This season he scored some outrageous individual efforts for the team, and for me, you know, that ability to hit balls from distance, the creativity, the dribbling, and the fact that he matches all these skills with that aptitude to want to defend for the team, to do the dirty work, which is very important for the big clubs in the modern game. He's definitely showing he has the attributes to do something at this football club. I think he's a very exciting talent. I'd love him to get an opportunity to get some minutes versus Man City. I hope one day we can transition away to maybe using wingers in our team, and I'll probably give you guys like my personal opinion and take here, but I've always loved wingers in football more than attacking mids. I feel like attacking mids effectiveness can be reduced in games, but with wingers, you know, players that have that ingenuity in their game that can take players on, they're the type of guys that open a game up. They're the type of guys that have those moments of brilliance that you can't defend against. They're the type of players that managers, you know, really scratch their heads to find the right tactics to reduce their effectiveness. So if Hutchinson, a player that plays on the right hand side, who can cut inside with his left foot and can equally play as an attacking mids, can hopefully get slowly integrated into this team. I feel like hopefully he can provide a different spark to this team if he's able to, you know, constantly work and improve to get himself in contention. If he does get some minutes, let's hope he does play well. And let's see how his season could potentially kick on, because for me, I feel like maybe PL2 is something he's kind of cracked already, and I feel like he could be ready for the next stage in my opinion. But you know, how are you guys feeling about Omari Hutchinson? I know that a lot of you diehard Chelsea fans who like to regularly engage with what the youth teams are doing. Hutchinson is a player that we've all kept our eyes on, so if he is able to get minutes versus Man City, that would be incredibly exciting. How do you feel about this news? Share your thoughts and opinions. So right now, let's end things by discussing one of the massive reports that came out these past few days, and let's talk Endrick. Now, you guys know that Endrick is one of those talents, those players, for me, a generational potential talent that I'm hoping we can do everything in our power to sign. We have some crazy competition for a signature, but we have some interesting news coming out from both Fabrizio Romano as well as the Brazilian journalist who, for me, has kind of been the one leading these stories, and his name is Nicola Jorge. And here's what Nicola Jorge has to say. Now, many reports in Spain are claiming that Real Madrid are by far the leading candidates to sign Endrick at this point in time. It does make a bit of sense. Endrick is part of the same agency that both Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo are also part of, so you can understand why they feel the same thing. However, Nicola reports that Endrick, his team, his family don't see any clear favourites at this point in time. Their main focus is on him joining a club that matches his sporting ambitions and to sign for a club that has the best project to offer their player. Now, for me, it makes tons of sense. I mean, we're talking about a 16-year-old that is generating talks of clubs signing him for around 60 million euros. So he is not like any ordinary team. So as his year does progress, he has plenty of opportunities to potentially sign from club to club. However, how you kickstart your European adventures is more important than how you end it. So of course, signing for a club with the right projects is the most important thing at this point in time. But anyway, we're getting news that the 3 main favourites now are us, Paris Saint-Germain and Real Madrid. Now, it's been reported that Paris Saint-Germain's technical director in Luis Campos has travelled to Brazil already. He's spoken to Palmeiras' manager, he's spoken to Endrick's team and his agent as well too, and of course he's doing his due diligence to try and entice the player to sign for them. You'd imagine Real Madrid see him as the perfect replacement for Benzema in the future, but there's also reports suggesting that we are still strongly after the player, and we're also ready to make a bid soon to match the interest of these other clubs. The reality is, Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain are the three main clubs who are the favourites at this point in time to sign Endrick. Now it's interesting that we entertained making a 40 mil move to exercise his release clause a few months back. However, we decided against that because Endrick hadn't even signed his first pro deal for Palmeiras. Of course, if you're going to spend that much money, you want to see how this guy performs for the first team before entertaining any massive bids. But since then, he's recorded 1 assist and 3 goals in 5 appearances. And for me, that's just like clear signs of generational talent. Who is doing that at 16 years old? Now, if anyone hopes to sign Endrick, his release clause has risen by 20 mil euros, going from 40 mil to 60 million. In my opinion, I think that's a massive bargain for a talent like him. And I'm going to end things by giving my thoughts and opinions. Now, for me, he is that dream player I'm hoping we can sign. I've said for many years that I want to see us buy one generational talent in my lifetime as a club supporting this team. I've seen Cristiano Ronaldo, I've seen Erling Haaland, I've seen Neymar, I've seen Mbappe. I want to see a level of talent of that caliber playing for my team one day. And I think Endrick perfectly fits that mold. We need a striker in the future. Endrick is stocky, he's powerful, he has incredible power behind his shots. He's left-footed, he's inventive, he's skillful, he's explosive. He has, the key technical criteria and physical criteria to match. For me, as Chelsea fans, I feel like we want to see, a certain caliber of player that can turn a game on its head. It's been a long time since we've had that. We have not had that since Eden Hazard. And we really took his skill and talent for granted. We never really supplemented him. We never gave him enough of an amazing supporting cast to take advantage of that skill and talent. So I'm hoping that we can find that same type of player again, because they're the real ones that take your club to the next level. For me, players like this, these are the players that managers really stress themselves out to find ways to try and reduce her effectiveness to give their teams a chance of getting a result. At the same time, I can understand there could be some skeptical doubts and thoughts, and people are thinking, Nini, the guy's 16, he's barely played. Who's to say that he'll even justify this potential one day? Who's to say that he could be the real deal? This could be a deal that blows up in our faces and we could regret this in the future because we fell for the hype train. Of course, you are free to believe that, but for me and maybe for other people as well too, when you've been watching this game for so long, there's just certain instinctual patterns you can just kind of see and notice. When I saw Neymar, I was always expecting him to have an incredible career. When I saw Mbappe's introduction, it was the same thing. Certain players are just anomalies. Their technical game, their physical game, it combines to create this unique package that you can't really replicate. They're just anomalies in this game. And for me, Endrick is another anomaly. Endrick is an anomaly I'm hoping we can secure and sign. So please, Todd Bowley, make something happen here, because he could really change the future of this club if we're able to get him secured and signed. So you guys, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up, keep things moving, share your thoughts and opinions, and before I leave, I'm going to be releasing another video discussing Graham Potter and why I feel like this guy definitely needs some patience at this point in time. So on that note, I'm Nini FC, this is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.